Welcome back. Now we are going to talk about the find index method. And now that we have a good grip on the find method, let me introduce you to the close cousin of this, which is the find method, which is the find index method. And then the find index method works almost the same as find, but as the name says, find index returns the index of the found element, not the element itself. So let's see a great use case for find index in our application here, which is to close the account here. Let me just log in this here as JS, and then here when we just here close account right here. So what happens here in this close account here is, for example, if Sarah decides to close her account, then this account for will be simply deleted. That's it. Now to delete an element from an array, we just simply use the splice method, remember. But for the splice method, we use the index at which we want to delete. And where could that index come from? So you guessed it, from the find index method. So let's just first select this button here, and then here we have when we inspect this, see here we have this button form, button close here, right? So as I have already declared this and stored here in this button close, as you can see here, form button close. Okay, so we'll just attach here an add event listener for that button. So we'll do that here. So we'll just say button close dot add event listener. Okay, click comma function of which is the event here I am using. Okay, and then here this event prevent default, this is the default which we are using from everywhere. So when we just console.log, here we just say delete, for example. Okay, so let me just save it. Okay, again let me just go to console, and then here let me run login this. See here when we log in, see here when we click this, see here it is getting delete. So it is, this button is working now. So let's now take a look at the flowchart here. So that the first thing we need to do here is to check if the credentials are correct. So basically this username, and then here then the pin here. So that is inputted here is equals to the current user, and then the same for the pin. So let's just take a look at that our element names, where here it is the input user, and then here it is the input close pin. As you can see here, we have declared here these. Okay, so coming back here, we'll just simply remove this, and then here we'll just write if input close pin dot value, here it is equals to current account dot username, and if this case is okay, and then here we are using the number which we have written similarly in the above case as well. So input close pin dot value, here we are setting this to current account dot pin. Okay, so now here we'll just like I said, we are going to use the splice method to delete the account, and let's do the deletion here itself. So for that, here we'll just use the accounts dot splice of index of 1. Okay, and we'll remove exactly one element. All right, then the splice method actually mutates the underlying array itself. So here there is no need to save the result of this anywhere. So let's now actually calculate the index at which we want to delete. Okay, so for now let me just go ahead and turn this here off, and then here let me just say constant index equals to, so accounts dot find index of, so this you have already know how we are writing this. Current account dot username. Okay, now we'll just console log this. So now let's see what we did here in this the find index. So just like before in the find, we passed in a condition, so something that we written either a true or false, and the FindIndex method will then return the index of the first element in the array that matches this condition, for which this condition here returns true. So again, similar to the find, but it returns the index and not the element itself. Now you have might notice that it is actually similar to the index of method which we studied before. Okay, let me just show you here. So here index of 23, here we can only search for a value in the array. So if the array contains 23, then it is true. If it's not, it is false. But on the other hand, the find index, we can create a complex condition like this one which we did here. Of course, it doesn't have to be the equality operator here, but it can be anything that returns true or false. Okay, but here we can simply check if the array contains this value or not. If so, return the index of it, both the return and the index number. But this one here is a lot simpler, right? But let's actually delete this element here now. So let me just bring this back here now. The current user on the current account. So now let's just go back to our flowchart once. So when we are back to our flowchart, see here our credentials are correct. Then you delete the user from the data and also log out the user from the UI, right? When we bring this back, and then let me just turn this here off. So we are just going to use the JS again. So after we save it, here we'll just save JS, and then here we'll just say simply one accounts. Right now, as you can see here we have 4 accounts, which is the Jonas, and then 1, 2, 3, which is in the array order. So what here it is doing here is, so this is the delete account. Okay, and then here we'll just write hide UI after deleting. So which has to be the container app, so which we have written in the previous. See here we have right container app opacity to 1. So we'll just paste that here. Yeah, here we are did something wrong. Here it should be input close username, not the pin. And then so coming back here, we did 2 mistakes here. It should be the account. So okay, and also here it should be the number here. Okay. So now let's just check here the accounts. See here we have the 4 accounts right now. So let me just log into the JS here. So after logging in, so I am just deleting the JS here right now. So the pin, okay. See now the JS here, the 0 was deleted. So let me just here check again the accounts. See here accounts, we have only 3 accounts here. The JS was deleted. So right now it is not just closing because here we have set the opacity to 1. So we have set this to 0, and then we just do that again. So JS, and then here again we'll just delete the JS. See, it got deleted. See, we are back to here the Jonas here. Okay, this works perfectly fine. Put this opacity here to 1, and then if they do the deletion, so if they put opacity 1, and then if they try to delete the JS here, okay, for suppose, see, after it got deleted, still here we are getting these values reflected, right? So in order to not to them pop up here, so let's just write the code. So after the if statement here, we'll just write input close username dot value equals to input close pin dot value. Here we'll just set this to empty. So now when we try to run this again. So we'll just set for JS and then we'll just put this. Okay. So when we delete the JS, see here this goes and here it gets deleted, and when we put this back here our UI also gets set. Okay, and now this works. Okay, and when we try to log in after we delete it, and then we'll get the undefined the down here. That's because the user is no longer existed now. So in our account, that's great. So one more feature implemented successfully. And now just a couple of things I want you to note here. Both the find and find index method get access to the to also the current index and the current entire array. So as always, besides this current element, there are two values are also available, but in practice, I never found these useful. And second, the both find and the find index methods were just added to JavaScript in the ES6 version, so they will not work in the super old browsers. Okay, with that we are done with this here.